Hello, hello. This is your host, Geoff Antonio, with the Geoff Antonio Show. And today, I have a very special guest. Please welcome Hampus and Martin from the band Amnesti. How you doing, fellas?
Hey, Geoff, we're doing great.
Awesome. It's an honor and a privilege to have you on the show, and I wanted to say thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
And we also want to thank you for having us. Yeah.
Well, listen, no need to thank me. I have a habit of having top talent on my show. And when I discovered your music, particularly the song WNGD, I just said, you know what? This is a band that has some talent, has some real talent, has a great song, great production, and I smell a hit here. So, the pleasure is all mine. Yeah. So, I appreciate the connect. And so, I wanted to talk to you about, your music, where you guys come from musically. How do you get to where you are on a music level? And so, take me to where it began. When did you guys start, writing music or really being influenced by music?
Well, the band got together in 2017. It was me and our drummer Nils who started the band, and we just tried to write a few songs together. Try to figure out a sound that worked for us, and then we just try to invite more people. So Hampus joined after maybe 6 months.
Something like that.
Then more people joined, and we just went on from the summer of 2018 by playing our first live gig, and our sound has been has changed a lot since those first rehearsals. We've incorporated a lot of more synthesizers with our more like indie rock sound. So that's where it started, 2017.
It's great. You guys sound like you've been around longer than that. Sounds like you've it's been maybe more like 10 years.
Well, all the members in the band has a long career in practicing music. I started taking music lessons when I was 6 years old, and I'm 25. I've studied music on like an advanced level. So as the drummer, the guitar player, he's just amazing. Martin is a very good singer, and and the pianist. Don't even get me started on him. He's a force of nature on his own, not just in music.
Yeah, I could tell you guys have been around. I can. It's just you could just hear it. And that's one of the things that music I gravitate towards is you can hear great songwriting craft. You can hear great production. And it just, to me, sounds like you guys are just your school music artist, and you really take your craft seriously. So tell me about, your upbringing with music. When was the first time, that you were listening to music as a kid, and maybe it was a particular music artist that struck you and it was like, wow, that's so amazing. Like maybe I want to do this.
Well, for me personally, my first experience with rock and roll was when I saw a poster of the band Kiss, and I was hooked right away just by looking at the pictures of these guys, and I didn't really know why. I couldn't figure out why they were so cool. Just the way that the makeup was done and just the attitude. And I think I was about 3 years old or something when I got my first Kiss album, and I tried to sing along with these small tape recorders that I had as a kid, record my own tapes when I was singing Kiss songs. So yeah, everything started with Kiss, like rock and roll, but I didn't got my first instrument until I was like 12.
Mm-hmm.
And at first I wanted to be a drummer, but my parents wouldn't let me. But I got my first guitar when I was 12, after years of whining about that I wanted a guitar.
Begging.
Yeah, begging. So yeah, and I just started from there. I've never really been to like musical schools or anything like that. I just picked up a book and tried to figure out some chords. So yeah, that's my background.
I'm pretty much the opposite of like the music school thing. So I was also influenced very young. A very strong memory I have is we had this TV show in Sweden called Grynet.
Mm-hmm.
It was like this teenage girl who was in her room and it's on television. And because it was on television, I had to watch it because we only had 3 channels. And she played a music video by the band Hammerfall. If you've heard, it's a Swedish heavy metal band. And the song was called Hearts on Fire. And I was into like Spider-Man and all those cartoons. And they had lightning and skeletons and cool clothes with spikes and like a hammer that he lifted up. And I was just mind blown of it. So I went down to the kitchen. I said, Mom, I want the CD with the band Hammerfall. And she went, oh, great, here we go. No, and but we have something called Kulturskolan, which is like a culture school or a music school.
Mm-hmm.
And by the age of, I think it's 7 to the age of 19, I took lessons. I played in orchestras and I did big band jazz. And after high school, I studied jazz for 2 years. So, and now I'm studying to be a music teacher and also worked as a music teacher. So music has been a central part of all my life. And if I can't do it, I don't really see the point of being alive anymore. It's the only thing I do and the only thing I've ever done.
It's the air we breathe. You know, it really is. And once you get that music in you, there's really no turning back. And I can totally relate to both of what you both are saying. You know, being a kid, seeing a musical band on TV, seeing the performance, and there's just a connection there. And you just say to yourself, you know, I want to do that. I want to be a part of it. And then same thing here, begging my parents to let me play, and just like you, you know, Mom, I want to play drums. Oh, you can't play drums. That's going to be too loud. We'll get you a guitar. And then begging for the guitar, you know, then they finally give me one. And so I could totally relate to that. It's once you get that music bug, it's just, there's a connection there, and it's a pathway for life. And
Yes, to be completely honest, I'd rather lose both my legs than one of my arms.
or a finger.
Yeah, or a finger. Yeah, it's like no, not my fingers.
I'm telling you,
because I worked in elderly care, and we did the insulin training, and
Mm-hmm.
they said you have to prick your finger. I said I'm not doing it. Not because I was so I'm so like I'm almost like OCD germaphobe type, but like with cuts and bruises to my fingers because like it's like I don't want to hurt them. They're precious.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I'll never forget, I was working a job where I was kind of doing this inventory, and it was kind of a strange setup, but I was moving a very heavy engine with this older gentleman, and it wasn't really a part of the job, but he's like, "Can you help me move this engine?" And I was like, okay, all right, I'll do it. But it was extremely heavy. It was like a 1957 Chevy, some old classic. And I was just like, well, let me help out this older gentleman. When we put the engine down, it had some kind of tray. And when we put the engine down, the tray came up and bam, it snapped my finger. And it's, my guitar hand, because I'm left-handed. So, and there was blood everywhere. And I was like, oh my God, my finger. And luckily it was just, it was smushed, but it wasn't crushed. But I was freaking out.
Well, luckily you're a guitarist. You can just switch to country music and play slide for the rest of your life. You only need one finger for that.
Just pick up the slide, just play that. Yeah, I was scared, man. And after that, I was like, no more heavy lifting, no more heavy lifting. Um, but getting back to you guys, so so you have that connection. You start playing your instruments, and it sounds like at that point you're playing a lot. And are there any particular influences when you started to play your instruments that you were kind of pulling towards at that time as you developed your talent?
Um, well, I try to do a bit of rock and roll. Except for like Kiss, I was really into like AC/DC, Green Day, really easy chord based songs. I've never been a particularly good soloist or lead guitarist. I'm really comfortable as a rhythm guitarist. I'm really good with like chord progressions and rhythm stuff. So that was the kind of music that I gravitated towards. And it was like a couple of years ago where I discovered like synthesizers and stuff like that, and I gravitated more towards that since it was more interesting for me. Um, but basically, all kinds of rock and roll in the beginning.
Nice, nice. Yeah. What about you?
Well, in the early days, man, I feel old now. But in the ye old early days, I was a metalhead. Everything heavy metal, everything like rock and roll was my thing, especially in high school. God, I was a troubled teen. But it was my bass teacher because I was feeling I was because of three years in high school, I only got to play like slow pop ballads, and I was pretty much the only bass guitarist. So I only got to play long notes for 4 bars at a time for 3 years. So I was thinking like I'm done with this. But my teacher told me to, hey, I know this school. Don't have to go there if you don't want to, but go up and try. You'll get leave, meet some people, drink a few beers, have some fun. I said, fine. And I sat down and I practiced, and I went up there, and we started playing it when it was a jazz school. And I started doing, I did the walking. It's like, good. Now you do a solo, and I was like, I get a solo. No way. So, and that's when I like starting really getting into more like jazz and especially funk. I can't get enough of like Marcus Miller, Victor Woot, and Bootsy Collins.
There we go.
Parliament. Like I every time I put it on, I can't help it. But if I'm seeing it at work, I just go. And I just can't help it. That's where it really took off, because before then it was just like really easy things I played for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't particularly technical. But then you lived in an environment for 2 years where everyone was striving to be the best that they could be, and that really I really took that to heart and actually invested in my own music for maybe the first time in my life. I don't think I was 19 or 18 then, something like that.
That is fantastic. Yeah, there's something about being in an environment that is really nurturing, and also um, everybody striving to do their best and be their best on their instruments, that really can push you forward and really get you there, and that's what it sounded like to me. And of course, I mean, if you were getting into jazz and the funk, I mean, you were really getting into it. I mean, of course, Bootsy Collins is just a beast on the bass, and Parliament, Funkadelic, all that stuff is just awesome. This is some of the best music, and it's great because you can have the groove, but then you can also, you can really play. You can really play in those music genres as well, for sure.
Yeah, if you take the old school focus, as long as you mark the one, you can do whatever you want.
Exactly. You better hit it on the one, man.
Better hit it on the one, or else you're gonna get a drumstick thrown at you.
If you miss that one, man, it could be trouble. I never forget. I was at a Prince concert, and he was playing Kiss, and instead of playing the guitar part live, where it's the Kiss, it was a trigger on the drum set, and the drummer was pretty good. He was actually amazing. You know, anybody who plays with Prince is gotta be pretty darn good. And one of the cues, the drummer missed the guitar part where the beat stops in the so the beat stops, drummer didn't hit it, and I saw Prince look back, and I thought, oh my God, he's gonna kill him. He's gonna kill him.
That's
I'm
rough.
scared for the guy. You know, and Prince was not necessarily the most physically intimidating guy, but you could tell he did not play, and he was not appreciative that the drummer didn't hit the trigger.
Well, he doesn't have to be the physically intimidating. He's Prince. He's got an aura. One look, you go, hey.
I'm telling you, man. He turned his little head. I was like, uh-oh.
I got a story like that too. That happened to me.
Really? What happened?
I am musically handicapped because in jazz you have the beat on the 2 and the 4th.
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3, 4. But I started off in classical music. There you always start at the 1 with the left foot because I did a lot of marching band things. And I played the big bass drum because, you couldn't really have an amplifier on your back and walk with the bass for some reason. And I was the guy when the conductor in the front did a certain thing with the staff. I had to hit the drum in a certain way to make everything stop. And I was 15 years old, looking at the crowd, boom, 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 boom. And then I just hear my name from the front, Happers! and I missed it. And it was like 800 people there watching the march. And I was like, I was gonna go and die now.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And he was like the oldest guy in the whole orchestra. He was like 7 years older than me, like towering over me. It's like, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, sir. I'll do better next time, I promise.
I'm telling you. But we learn. But we learn from these things when they happen, and that's the great thing about playing live is that it's, anything can happen at any point in time, and it can go amazing, and it can also go really bad really quickly. Tell me about you guys. When you first started, playing out in 2017, 2018, how were those first performances? How did they go?
Well, we got our first gig at a kind of a nice place. We have been back there and played again when we released our EP. But I emailed this guy, and then I sat down and had a meeting with him, and I remembered before the meeting that the way that Oasis got their name out there were that they got one spot at a really nice place as a supporting act, and then they just lied their whole way through. When this A&R from a label came up to Noel after the gig and said, like, do you guys have more songs like this? It was like, yeah, we have a full album, and they only had 2 songs.
I never heard this part of the story before. I mean, I'm with you here, Geoff. I'm sitting back and listening to this.
Oh, yeah.
Go on.
But so we sat down and he just asked us like, yeah, how much do you guys normally? What's your fee? How long can you play for? And we had 5 songs maybe. I was like, yeah, we can play for 45 minutes to an hour, and our fee is usually this, depending on like the place and the crowd. I was like, yeah. How does this sound good? And it was like, I think it was like $500 or $600 in crowns. And I was like, yeah, it's fine. I didn't expect that we were gonna get anything.
No.
And then when we played our first gig after the show, he was like, was this your first gig? And I was like, yeah. He was like, pretty darn cool. Pretty good.
Hey, we got to come back, so we did something, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That is so
But so
funny.
yeah, after that gig, we just went on from there. We had like 4 shows that summer at pretty cool places. And we just been trying to book as much as possible ever since.
Yeah, we've been playing a lot actually for only being active for 2 years.
Mm.
Not so much this year, because the pandemic, everything's shut down.
Yeah.
But before the pandemic, like I think in general, if you like just divided up every gig, it was pretty much once a month, and then we got a tour on that as well.
Yeah.
So, but
We've
it
been
helps
trying
that
to stay active.
yeah, and everyone in the band is on board with it. And we had a guitar player switch out because he said it. I don't feel like I want to do music in this way, and he was honest about it. And we said, well, it's a shame that you feel that way. But now everyone's on board with like the hard work and and like the long hours. I drive back and forth to rehearsal. It takes me 45 minutes single way, but it's worth it because it sounds good, and this can actually like be something greater than like the band you have with your friends and play in your neighbor's garage because it's fun.
Absolutely. I think it's Steve Vai that said it best. He said music is a labor of love, and it's not work if you love it. And that 45-minute commute probably feels like nothing because it's just what you want to do. It's how you want to spend your day. So that 45 minutes probably feels like maybe 20 minutes.
Yeah, and of course, like some days, like you get in the car or you get on the bus, and it's like, oh, why am I here? I gotta work, I gotta go rehearse. But as soon as you get there, it's like, I'm so glad I did this. I needed this. So in the end, it's always worth it to be there. Like meet a whole group of wonderful people that has the same goal in mind, and it's really motivating.
Absolutely. So tell me about the scene over there. I mean, what was it like to do those gigs, and what's the music scene like, and competing or playing with other artists? What's it like?
Oversaturation.
Oh,
Yeah, basically, our town of Gothenburg is like the mecca of indie bands. It seems like everyone are playing or has been playing in an indie band for some part of their life. And of course, the range of really good and not so good bands that spectra of range is pretty big, but
huge, enormous,
huge. Yeah,
humongous.
but there are quite a lot of scenes. Most of them pretty small, and you won't get any money, or you will get a little bit of money for playing. And but the scene is good. It's for people playing our kind of music, you will always have a place to play. Like it's not depending on the season. Like on if it's winter, you will be playing clubs. If it's summer, you'll be playing festivals.
Yeah. Like the
But
problem is
the
getting
thing
in.
yeah, the thing is like it's so hard for, and that goes for any kind of genre of music. Like getting up to the next step or getting up to the next level. Being able to be booked to a bigger festival or getting to play at a bigger club. So I guess that's the struggle. I mean, and that's the struggle for any artists.
Yeah.
In Sweden, in particular, the most popular genre of music right now is hip hop.
really?
And yeah, and like I have a friend who he released his first song, a single, in like September. 3 weeks after the release, he had over 1 million streams on Spotify, just because the genre is so hyped right now. So yeah, it's hard to play our kind of music, but like once in a while, a band in our genre pops up and gets a shot at the big stuff. So you just have to work hard and hope you're next, you know.
Yeah, and starting out is even harder. Like in the beginning, if you go to like a club and say, "Hey, we want to play," they say, "Yeah, and 50 other bands. It's gonna be like 8 people to come and watch you." Like we're not gonna do it. But now, but after a while, now we can actually pull a crowd. Like at our release gig, people couldn't get in because there was a line outside. I went out for a smoke, and and I looked up and was like, "There's a line. There's never been a line before. What's going on?" And that's when you can really get some gigs, because then you can tell them, well, hey, we fill up your bar, you make a shit ton of money selling alcohol, you let us play.
For sure.
Before that, it's like, in the end, it's all about money. It's a business that they run, and if they can't make any money, why should they let you play? They're not a charity.
Yeah, it is about the business, most definitely. And I've seen it, I've seen it when you're starting out and you're kind of playing the smaller rooms, how they treat you. And I've seen it when you pack a club on the Sunset Strip and they're like, wow, when can you come back again? You pack the house tonight. So I've been in both predicaments, and it can get tricky. I know that it's often kind of hard to find that balance between, wanting to get your music out there and just trying to be yourself. But one thing that I notice about your music, and that I really feel in listening to it, is that you guys are yourselves. You're recording, it's you. You know what I'm saying? And what I'm trying to say is that you guys are not trying to be anything that you are not. It's genuine, and it just feels natural. Am I tripping here, or am
No,
I right
no,
page?
you're right. When we produced the album, my goal was to have it as organic as possible. Like we're gonna release a few songs on the album that are really like synth heavy. It's like borderline synthwave, but we still wanted like organic drums. We don't use like synth samples or digital synths or MIDI synthesizers. It's always analog, and that's been a huge part of the process. That we want everything analog, even if we can't get it as like smooth and tight and like I don't know how, like fat and big, as you could if you were doing like synthwave with like samples and MIDI synths. That's our, like, that's one of our perks, that we do it organically. It's our fingers that's playing. It's our arms that's playing. I can talk. Yeah.
And also the way we write music. Usually, Martin is the one like brings a half finished idea, and then we kind of arrange it, and then everyone and that's what I like about this group, that no one's really afraid to say, I don't know about that part. And everyone gets to contribute in one way or another, which makes it makes the music personal for everyone. It's not like I'm playing this person's song. I'm playing my song. I helped make this, and therefore I feel the emotion that you can portray when you do that is more genuine than if you just play covers, or is a hired musician because I've been a hired musician, and of course, it was fun. I played a really big stage, like a few thousand people in the crowd, but they weren't there for me.
Right.
They were there for the girl who was standing next to me.
Correct.
And it
You
wasn't
wanted to be the girl.
Yes. That's what this is going down to. Coming out.
He wanted to be that special girl.
Yes. I want to be the girl in every country song. No, but you feel, and I had a gig after that gig with my own band, small stage, 70 people in the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
But I liked that small gig more because that felt like I did this. this is something I've worked for. So
Right.
it's the hard work is paid off. And then I think that if you strive for something and if you have meaning if you find meaning in something, it's more valuable when it pays off, because it feels like you did this with your own two goddamn hands,
Mm-hmm.
and nothing could stop you. Everything said looked like, hey, there's a million other bands, but you did this. You're here on the stage, not them.
Correct.
So it's just you just get more real, I guess.
It's a direct connection. It came from you, and when you get that response, it's that much more versus someone else's material. And yeah, I think that's what I'm hearing in the recordings. I'm hearing a lot of soul in there. I'm hearing a lot of just like honesty. And to me, WNGD, I kind of felt like the lyrics were kind of about being vulnerable. There's a specific lyric that says, "Put your walls down." And I just thought that was interesting. Can you elaborate more on that?
Well, the song started off as it's like a letter to your younger self. Because when I was a teenager, I thought that I had a good thing going, you know, that I know everything, and the choices that I make are the right choices, but I never knew. And you know, being vulnerable to like doing the wrong thing and like being heckled for it, that was always a worry as a teenager. And "We're Not Gonna Die" is just like a letter to your younger self, saying that everything is gonna work out. Do your shit. You're not gonna die from it.
Right.
Because I am here and telling you this.
Yeah.
And take your. I think that the lyric is "Take your fucking walls down." And that's just like, don't put up a wall just because you're afraid of putting yourself out there, you know. Don't put up a wall being afraid of what anyone might think or might say. Just do the things that you want to do, because everything is going to work itself out eventually.
Yeah.
And sometimes in like life, everyone's been through that. Sometimes you gotta like take a leap of faith. My leap of faith was during my jazz days. I went to this jazz club. I wanted to bring all my friends with me because there was a jam night.
Mm-hmm.
And but no one wanted to go because it was one of the best jazz clubs in the country with some of the best musicians in the country. So I said, hey, fuck it, I'll go by myself. And then I stood outside the door and like, oh, why did I do this? Why am I here? Oh well, I guess I'll just go in and listen to the show. And then I get to the door. It's like, I have my bass guitar with me and everything. And it's like, well, we're gonna jam. Now he's gonna watch the show. Okay, that will be 50 crowns. I was like, all right. And I realized, I forgot my wallet at home.
Uh-oh.
But I know that if you're gonna jam, you get in for free. And I wanted to see the shows. I said, yeah, I'm gonna jam. It's like I'm just gonna sit in the corner in the back. No one's gonna notice me.
Right.
Only problem is I was the only bass guitarist there. All the other basses were double basses. So after the show was up, hey, we're gonna get you speakers. You can be with the jam. The door guy told us you're gonna want to jam. I'm like, oh god damn it, door guy, why did you do it? And I just went up there and I've played jazz for 3 months. I'm the worst person in this room at jazz. I went up there. It went horrible. I worst gig of my life. I blew it. Every note. Knees shaking. Mom's nervous sweater. Mom's spaghetti and everything. The Eminem song. Like, worst gig of my life. And the next week I went back and did it again.
Aha. See.
Yeah, because first I got sad. Then I got upset. Then I got angry. Not because I failed, but because I was feeling so bad about it. Like, you've done worse things than this. Come on now. No one laughed. No one laughed at you. Like, you were like 10 years younger than the next youngest guy. Stop being a baby and get up there and do it again. And that was like a turning point when I kind of stopped caring what other people thought. I just did what felt right and what I needed to do.
Yeah, I mean, and I could totally relate to that. You know, it's kind of like this fight or flight mode, right? You know, it's like we all have that moment of truth where, you know, we can be our own worst critic, our own worst enemy. We want to cross that bridge. We don't know, you know, we don't want to look silly in front of our friends or in front of anybody. But there's just that moment of truth where you cross that bridge and you just say, you know what? To hell with it. You know, I hope I don't look silly, but I'm going to do it. And if it doesn't go well, I'll do it again. It'll get better. I'll do it again. It'll get better. And then over time, it'll be great. And I think that's an assumption that I think a lot of music artists and musicians, a lot of times when you're first starting out, you hear these amazing records, these amazing bands and artists, and you just say, well, they're just amazing. Their first song was probably amazing. The first time they went to the studio was amazing. They're just naturally gifted, just brilliant people. And maybe they are gifted and brilliant, but it has to be crafted and sculpted just like, you know, a sculpture. And it takes time, and you got to build it up just like anything else. And if you just put that first step forward, that's the biggest thing, man. Getting past yourself and just taking the first step, you'd be amazed. And that's what makes the true winners in the game. And I think that's why you guys are onto something, is because you took that first initial step. You didn't stop yourself, and you said, you know what, win, lose, I don't care. We're going to do it. We're feeling it. And that's when you really got the magic, you know, and I so much appreciate your experiences. Tell me, so when you're you know, writing a song and you guys are in the studio and you guys are all kind of collaborating, vibing, figuring out, okay, let's take this in, let's put this out, let's add this in. Oh, I don't know about that vocal. Let's put in this keyboard, turn that back up. You know how it goes. At what point do you say, okay, this is it. This is the final mix. Let's have it mastered. At what point do you know the song is done?
Not really done at all.
No,
Never.
I don't think it's ever going to be done. You just have to settle for like 80%, I think. I think that the song on the upcoming album that had the least number of tracks was a song with 122 tracks. So, and that's just like us adding, and like, oh, can we put this here? No, it's too much. And like, no, it's just getting weird now. We have to cut this. We're doing another song now, because you're just like trying to figure out too much of a song, and you come to this this moment when you have just overdone it, and you have to like put a pin in it and just either say that, yeah, we're done, or you have to come back to it like after a week or something.
Yeah,
I would say that the song is done when you don't hear that anything is missing, or it's perfect right now. I can hear stuff in our songs that we released now from the album that's like, oh yeah, I would change that, or I would do this instead of that. But you know, if it's perfect to your ears in the moment when you're sitting there, just go for it.
Yeah, but we have a tendency of we've started calling it the Amnesti effect. Like, this sounds weird, just put more on it, it'll work itself out. But we get out of hand real easily. One second we're talking drums, and Domo said, hey, what about saxophones? Yes. And trumpets? Yes. Like, what about the melodica? What's a melodica? This thing, use it. And it just escalates from everywhere.
Yeah.
And I was going to strangle this guy when I was recording the bass because it was his birthday, and I got him a melodica the whole day. No. I was like, shut up already. Why did I do this?
How did I get a bit?
Yeah, but again, just as Martin says, it's never going to be completely done. It's like you're never. the ones who make it are the ones who strive for perfection. But again, perfection is a false concept, because nothing is ever perfect, because perfection is subjective to the entire beholder. And because of that, you can never be done.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, there's a rumor that Mick Jagger is still driving himself crazy over Satisfaction. He still feels like there's something missing in that track that's like eons old, and whenever he hears it, it's like, oh, it's just missing that something. So I think you both are right. We could drive ourselves crazy to get that sound or that feel, or but it's sometimes you just got to go with the flow and put it out there, and if it feels right, you go with it. As far as the mixing, do you guys mix in house, or do you have a mixer or mastering people?
For the album, we hired a friend from another band who he works in a big studio in Gothenburg. So his name is Georgie. He plays in a band called 2 Year Vacation. A really cool band. If you haven't, you should check them out.
Yeah, shout out to 2 Year Vacation in Georgie.
Yeah. So he's mixed the whole album, and then a guy called Hans Olsson has done the master. He works in the same studio, and Hans actually mixed and mastered our last EP. So yeah, we try to, at least for me, I don't like mixing my own stuff or the band stuff, because you're just too close to it. You need a fresh pair of ears. So even if we could, I wouldn't recommend that we mix and master our own stuff.
No, because again, the studio technician can say like, slow down now. We're working with this, and right. I think this is fine because of this, because they don't have that. Of course, they want to make a good job as possible, but it's not their own song, so they can look at it from a different perspective. Like in a business sense, in the music business, this is fine. This is how it's done. The great songs that's playing over and over again through the times, they've done it like this. It sounds like that. It's fine. Calm down.
Absolutely.
And you can't really do that with your own songs, I believe.
I agree. I've seen artists mix their own stuff. It's rare. I've seen it 1 or 2 times where they do it and they do it well, and I'm just thinking to myself, you're a freak. How do you? And the guy did it well. I mean, it was just like, you're in another dimension. You don't count. But yeah, I agree with you. It's just like taking the music and having another person to take a different take on it and have a different perspective, and they're not too close to it. They're a little further away. And I hear it. The mixes are great. And that brings me to the song Lolita and I is another one that really stood out to me and I really liked. And tell me, when you guys are in your songwriting phase, how do you tune in, get into that creative mode, and tune out the rest of the world and just get in that mode where you're just able to write and flow?
Beer.
It also
beer.
Yeah.
What kind though?
Every kind. No. You go ahead, Martin.
Usually it starts out. I'm sitting in my home studio and just trying to put something together. Usually I start with something completely different than what's being the final result, since I don't really know what I want to do until I'm doing it. I'm trying out a bunch of different stuff. I think that when I started writing Lolita, it was more of a synth pop song. And then when I started out on the drums, then I was like, holy shit, this is what it's going to sound like. And then I just deleted everything, just started all over again. So basically I usually start off with like an intro, a verse, and a chorus, and then I send it to the guys, and they tell me what they think, and then we go into the rehearsal space and just try it out. And usually the rest of the song comes from the rehearsal space, and then I go home and put everything together in a demo, and we work from there.
Yeah, and a lot of times, like in the beginning, we're all agreeing like, yeah, this is great. And then we spend 30 minutes playing it. And then we was like, well, I don't know about that chord. That's how it starts out, that chord. And 40 minutes later, we rearranged everything.
Right.
So then it's different again. And I think that you can compare music to your children like that. You can't really control what it's going to be. You just have to go with the flow and let it evolve in its own pace and take what comes. Man, English is not my first language. Take what comes to you naturally.
Yeah.
And work with that, because you can't force it.
So it sounds to me that it's kind of like about being open, right? It's kind of about being a channel for the music to come through you.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
It would be something like that, because a lot, like, I think I don't remember which song, but some songs have just started off with someone just playing something and someone going, hey, play that again. That's
Right.
a thing.
Yeah.
Do it
Right.
again. And then that thing evolves to like a whole song, and it's just again, you have to do it the natural way.
You know when you find it. When you find it, you know you found. You don't know how you're gonna get there. You just know you're trying to get somewhere, and when you're there, you found it. That's that's kind of the natural way to do it. So yeah, that I really like that song. And one lyric that kind of stood out to me, it's "Let me know if it's over." So is this a bit of a heartbreak song? Tell me about it.
The lyrics are based. It's like a story of a person who has been seeing someone for a while, and then the person has been ghosted, and the person knows that the other person has moved away, but she hasn't told him like where they are, what their standpoint is. So yeah, it's just a song about like not knowing where you stand with each other, and you just want to know. Lolita, I just want to know.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's relatable. That's relatable. I think we've all been ghosted at one point.
Or sad, I don't know.
Like, where did you go? Oh, maybe they left on purpose.
Yeah, exactly.
But I also get the feeling that from that song, the lyrics, that the moment the girl would come back and say that she wants to be in a relationship again, I get the feeling that the guy who's telling the story would probably get back together with her. That's the feeling I get. I just want to know. That means it's up to you. She says no, and then maybe later she says yes, and like, all right, let's go. That's kind of a feeling I'm getting from it. Like if I just listen to it, because of the happy uptone.
That could be the part two.
Upbeat feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's Lolita and I part 2. Yeah.
Baby, I'm back. Let's call it that.
Lolita came back to me. That is awesome. So tell me, guys, how are you handling the COVID situation with, I mean, listen, we've all had a heck of a year. I mean, how has it been for you guys? If your normal process of recording and doing shows and everything that you're doing with the band, how has it affected you, and what are you doing to get through it?
Well, I had big plans for the band starting off in 2020. We knew that we wanted to start and record an album. So that was what we spent the first half of the year doing. And we just hoped that no one thought that COVID would be this huge thing that would like shut down every opportunity to play live. So we hoped until like the last day that the summer wouldn't be ruined. But yeah, it was. And when
everything was canceled.
Yeah, when we were finished on the album, we were like, yeah, so what now? and we just started planning how to release the album, how to release songs. So the second half of the year has been kind of like a switch between hibernation and just releasing singles and planning for next year.
Yeah.
So like it's been over a year since we played live. We played our last gig in Malmö, in the south part of Sweden, the 29th of November last year. So me personally, I'm just dying to get out there.
Yeah.
Just want to play live.
And it's really hard, like for the industry in general, because they stayed alive by making enough to still be open. Because the live music scene in Sweden has been on its knees for the last few years, and COVID just pretty much pushed it on the ground and started kicking it. A lot of really legendary scenes have been shutting down all over the country. Martin, Pustervik, is it still open, or are they?
Well, Pustervik is the biggest place in Gothenburg for indie bands. The next step after Pustervik is like arenas. And Pustervik is still open, but yeah, they're on their knees. One of the bigger places in Norrköping just shut down. That is,
Yeah.
It was like the highlights of that part of Sweden's cultural like mecca. So yeah, places are shutting down, and just like they can't get through it,
No.
which is really sad. So I have high hopes for the vaccine, so that 2021 can be better.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I practice all the songs like a million times now. I know the songs. I want to be able to play them live. So all I do is practice the songs. Come on now. Don't hold me to that. Don't hold me to that, Martin. Next time we rehearse together.
Yeah,
Don't hold me to it.
Hampus has a thing where he always forgets crucial parts of every song, and he never remembers the lyrics. So hearing that from him, I'm gonna hold you to that.
Right. No, but my problem is I have a hard time remembering names. Geoff.
Yeah.
No, I have a hard time remembering names, especially on songs. And some of the songs have a like pretty big part in, like in creating them. Like, let's play this. I'm like, how does it go again? Or the first, it's like, that's the song. Then it just go in the head. I can't remember their names, no matter how hard I try.
I'm with you, brother. I'm terrible with names. You're probably very visual like me. I'm extremely visual, and even streets and what have you, finding my way around town. I know how to get places. I could not tell you the names. I know you take a left, take a right, go up the street, turn around. It's all in the dome somewhere. So tell me what's coming up for Amnesti for 2021. What's in the plans, and where can we hear you guys?
Well, the plans right now is continuing releasing singles from the album. We're gonna release the next single early next year. So everyone that's interested should keep an eye out and follow us on Spotify and social media. And hopefully we'll book a couple of gigs. Hopefully we'll book a couple of gigs abroad. We've been working pretty hard to branch out outside of Sweden. So it would be so awesome to be able to leave the country and play some other places.
Yeah, and you can listen to our music. And you can listen to our music at Spotify, Apple Music, and Amazon Music.
I like the commercial plug.
Oh, yeah.
When are you guys coming to the States? I think that you would do very, very well with the indie rock scene. Generally speaking, I think you would do very well in Los Angeles as well.
Yeah. Well, I have been reaching out to I've been reaching out to a lot of like labels and agencies, but this year has put a plug in everything. So no, we haven't gotten any response, and it's of course it sucks for us, but I guess it sucks for them as well.
Yeah.
And playing the States would be awesome, but of course it's also a matter of like economics. Just
Yeah, it's
a plane
expensive to
ticket
go
for
there.
one person costs like 6,000 crowns,
It's true.
which is a little bit over $600, and with like
That's one
instruments
way.
and everything. Yeah, with
Not like
instruments
that.
and everything. So
Not
it
round
would
trip.
be so awesome to like book a tour in the States and be able to be away for a couple of weeks, because then the economics would probably be less severe, or have a less severe impact on our personal finances, since everything is coming out of our own pockets. But it would be, yeah, that would be so awesome. And we've actually had a lot of listeners in the States,
Yeah.
and a lot
Also,
of followers on social media.
Mexico has also got some good response from there.
Yeah, Mexico and
For sure.
Brazil.
Yeah, for sure. North America, I think you guys will do very, very well. So keep plugging away on that. And to everybody listening, once again, this is Amnesti. And these guys are great. I highly recommend you check out all of their songs, but my particular favorites are WNGD and Lolita and I. These guys are craftsmen. They're great music artists, and I believe good things are going to be happening for these guys. And hope you're inspired by their story. And the main thing for everybody listening, make sure you keep up the hustle. Thank you so much. Until next time. Thank you.